Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores coming to y'all with the final injury report, injury update for this Washington football team versus Chiefs matchup going down this Sunday. As always, I will be live streaming during the game, and we'll hold the post-game live stream after the game where y'all call in and give y'all opinions on everything that's going down. But today, we're focused on who's going to be playing and who will not be playing. And then there's some questionables on both teams where it's pretty ugly. This is going to be one of the most injury-filled games that we've been a part of so far this season, as far as on our side, along with the other side for the team that we're going against. So we're all missing key players, and then on top of that, key players are banged up and may not even play. Some of them are questionable right now, and even if they do play, they'll be banged up during the game and will not be 100% and at their best. So this is the definition of any given Sunday right now. And of course, I'm going to break down what each injury means and who will have to step up, especially on our side, the Washington football team side. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, as always, man, please check out the rest of the channel. All of my videos are organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos. Also, make sure you pull up tonight for the broadcast show with me and Shay. And without further ado, let's get it. And like I said already in the intro, it is ugly. It is very ugly for both teams. Our side is definitely the ugliest, but the Chiefs are also going through it. On our side, starting right tackle, rookie phenom Samuel Cosmi will be out, which means Cornelius Lucas will have to step up in his place. And like I've already said in previous videos, it's not that I don't like Cornelius Lucas, even though I do like Samuel Cosmi more than Cornelius Lucas. My problem is, who's the backup to Cornelius Lucas? If he were to get hurt, just like how Samuel Cosmi got hurt, it's not like it's impossible. And Cornelius Lucas got hurt playing left tackle last season a couple of times. So if he were to get hurt, who's going to step in for him? And I'm guessing it's Saahdiq Charles, but I'm not sure if he's even ready because the last time we saw him, granted, he was healthy in the preseason finally, but he was out here getting false starts and I believe some hold-ins during the preseason, so I don't know. I really hope we don't get into a situation where Cornelius Lucas gets hurt because that would really hurt our team. I mean, at that point, we might as well just run bootlegs to the left side of the O-line all day. If we're running a passing play, just go ahead and get Taylor Heinicke out to that left side of the O-line and just let him figure it out with his legs. And same thing with Brandon Scherff being out. It's not that I don't like Wes Schweitzer. I actually like Wes Schweitzer a lot. And I like Wes Schweitzer at guard more than I like Cornelius Lucas subbing in at tackle. But the problem is, if Wes Schweitzer gets hurt, who's his backup? Probably Saahdiq Charles as well there. So of course you prefer to have your best guys, Brandon Scherff and Samuel Cosmi, out there, and that's a worry in itself. But my biggest worry is that if their backups get hurt, who's the backup to the backups? And I think the answer for either position is Saahdiq Charles, and we don't really want to see him out there. At least not yet. Until I'm more confident in what he can do, I really don't want to see him out there. But then again, granted, this Chiefs D-line has been underperforming, and they are missing Chris Jones, which we'll talk about once we get to their side. So if there were a defensive line that Saahdiq Charles could probably come out and play well against, it's this one, but still. You want your best guys on the field. It sucks that Brandon Scherff and Samuel Cosmi will not be out there, but it's even worse if one of their backups get hurt. Also, Jared Norris and Curtis Samuel are officially out. You know, Curtis Samuel's been dealing with that groin injury. He played more in that Falcons game than he was supposed to just because Dyami Brown and Cam Sims unexpectedly got hurt. And then he ended up going over his pitch count, and then he got hurt again during that terrible Saints game. So he's out at least this week, maybe even next week. Jared Norris is your backup linebacker. He's mostly here for special teams, so that does kind of suck that he'll be out as far as special teams goes. And we just really have no depth at linebacker. It's Jamin Davis, Cole Holcomb, Khaleke Hudson. And even at 3, you wouldn't consider that top heavy at all. So we're very thin at linebacker as is. And then also Cam Sims is out, which, I mean, I like Cam Sims a lot. That doesn't hurt us as much as the Curtis Samuel, and especially not the Samuel Cosmi and Brandon Scherff injuries, but it definitely thins out our wide receiver depth. Granted, a lot of those guys last game against the Saints stepped up big. Adam Humphries, most notably DeAndre Carter and Dax Milne. They were making plays out there, so I'm not too worried about the wide receiver depth, and especially like I talked about in my Washington football team versus Chiefs preview video where I break down all of the important matchups and X factors and everything. the fact that the Chiefs don't have a Marshawn Lattimore already helps our receiving core out a lot. Because if they find a way to cover Terry McLaurin, is going to take more than one person, and that should make things easier for the rest of the receiving core anyway. So I'm not really worried about the receiver injuries, even though you prefer to have Curtis Samuel and Cam Sims. My biggest worry is definitely the offensive line. And like I've already said, Brandon Scherff, even though it doesn't say out on here, we know he's out because he's out for at least like the next 2, maybe even 3 weeks. Maybe they wait to bring him back until after the bye week. We'll see. And then as far as questionable goes, Antonio Gibson's been questionable all season. He went from a shoulder injury to a shin injury, and the shin injury's been limiting him in games and in practices, so I'm not surprised that he's questionable. I think he will play, but just like how we've been using him against the Saints and the Bills, J.D McKissic and Jared Patterson will get a lot of touches in both the run and the passing game. So Antonio Gibson is out there, and he'll be really good when he does play. He's just going to be limited, and Scott Turner's not going to call a lot of plays with him out there on the field. Then Dyami Brown, he's been a little disappointing so far this season, but at least he's questionable. Then Sammis Reyes and Terry McLaurin came out of nowhere. I mean, Wednesday it seemed like everything was all good. Sammis Reyes, Terry McLaurin not on the injury report, and then out of nowhere Thursday, Sammis Reyes did not participate, and then he was limited on Friday, as in today. He's questionable to play against the Chiefs with his back injury. And out of all of the guys that are questionable to play, I feel like he's the least likely to play, but I still think it's possible that he does. And then Terry McLaurin with the hamstring injury out of nowhere, not on the injury report Wednesday or Thursday, then out of nowhere on Friday, he didn't participate. I think he's good to go, but that is scary because if Terry McLaurin can't play, I mean, it's pretty much a wrap. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't say he's our only hope, but he's definitely one of our main hopes to causing one of the biggest upsets of the weekend. And then, of course, Jonathan Allen, Cole Holcomb, and James Smith-Williams are good to go. They're not questionable. They are fully ready to go out there and do what they got to do, so that's good news. At least our defensive line will be at full power. Our linebacker group, at least the assumed starters, will be at full power. And even offensive line, again, the backups are really good. We have some of the best backup offensive linemen in the NFL. They should be starting elsewhere, so I'm not worried about everybody playing this Sunday on the starting offensive line. As long as everybody can stay healthy there, we're good. It's just if one of the backups get hurt, the backup to the backup coming in is what I'm worried about. And then on the Chiefs side, it's already been official that Jerron Reed, Travarius Ward, and Chris Jones are out against us. And Chris Jones is big time because he's their best defensive lineman. Frank Clark has been underperforming quite a bit this season. I mean, he's really just disappeared. So Chris Jones not being there makes the job way easier for our offensive line. And I feel like we should definitely be able to run the ball against them with that. I mean, really no team so far this season has stopped our run. Honestly, Scott Turner just stops calling run plays. But we'll see how that goes. Again, them not having Chris Jones, their best defensive lineman, and their defense is already bad, and their secondary is almost as bad as ours. That should definitely open up our offense. And I mean, this is just looking like it's about to be a big shootout. And then on top of that, Tyreek Hill, Joe Thuney, and Anthony Hitchens are all questionable. Joe Thuney was a full participant in Friday's practice, and so was Anthony Hitchens, so I'm expecting them to play. But Tyreek Hill didn't participate all week in practice, and then today, as in Friday, he was limited. So I'm not sure if he's going to be fully healthy. He probably will play, but even if he does, he will not be at 100%, which will help us a lot. But either way, I mean, Tyreek Hill and no Tyreek Hill, with as bad as our secondary has been, my Georgia Bulldog McCole Hardman might go crazy. And I mean, we have nothing for Travis Kelce right now. I would hope we have Jamin Davis, but Jamin Davis only played 13 snaps against the Saints for no reason, no injury concerns at all. So I don't know what's going on with that. And if we don't play Jamin Davis against the Chiefs, I mean, I'm expecting Travis Kelce to light it up, which is good for my fantasy teams, but horrible for my Washington football team and my sanity over this weekend. And then everybody else on the Chiefs injury report are all good to go. So yeah, man, like I said, we have a lot of injuries on our side. They have some injuries on their side. We definitely have it worse, but it's not the end of the world. As long as Terry McLaurin's out there, as long as we get some of Antonio Gibson, we have Taylor Heineke, and then like I said, our backup offensive linemen are great as starters. I'm just worried about when the backups get hurt. If the backups get hurt, then I'm worried. But then again, the Chiefs' defensive line has not been good, so I'm really not too worried about that overall. My main thing is with banged up Tyreek Hill or no Tyreek Hill at all, I'm still worried about our secondary getting cooked. This is the Chiefs' revenge game. I mean, everybody's been talking about how overrated they've been all week. First Take, Undisputed, First Things First, all of the ESPN, Fox shows, all of the sports analyst shows. So we're in the way of them trying to redeem themselves as far as national coverage and people thinking that they're not Super Bowl contenders anymore. This is like their big statement game. But on our end, we're retiring Sean Taylor's jersey. I think the timing was terrible. I think the announcement of it was terrible. Everything else was terrible. But at the end of the day, it's a special moment for Sean Taylor and his family. So I'm just going to ignore how much the Washington football team botched the whole situation. At the end of the day, I just want us to go out there and win this game for Sean Taylor. Again, we're pretty banged up, but it's any given Sunday. There's injuries on both sides. And honestly, just because Wes Schweitzer is still a really good offensive lineman, I think the biggest injury this game, if Tyreek Hill doesn't play, it's obviously him. But even if Tyreek Hill plays, I feel like Chris Jones is the biggest missing player out of this whole game between both teams. If you take a look at who's out for both teams, Chris Jones is definitely the most notable player. Again, Brandon Scherff is an all-pro, but the guy behind him isn't that much worse. Whereas Chris Jones, the guy behind him, is nowhere near the level of a Chris Jones. So I feel like the Chiefs have the biggest singular loss. On a per player basis, we just have more players hurt. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Do you feel like we have an honest chance to upset the Chiefs? Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the points I made in this video. Also, please like this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. And as always, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Big shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel. A special shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Man, I really appreciate y'all. Catch y'all later. I'm out.